All right, we're gonna have to work on the timing on that. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Coming at you with another live stream. We're really mixing it up today. We're going from 747-800 freighters and heavies to single engine turboprop aircraft. So you guys have been bugging me and asking me about this. I've been kind of looking at this airplane in the background, like, is it like, what's gonna happen? So I finally picked it up this morning, did a little test circuit in it. I want to take, I cannot resist a good turboprop, especially if it's a PT6. So it was only inevitable for me to pick this airplane up, put it through its paces. I'll share some of my thoughts with you on it. We're going to run a real-world freight route that I used to fly. This actually used to be a two-legger. I don't know if we'll have enough time to do the second leg. I'm meeting with somebody from the channel, actually, for the first time. Hopefully he doesn't kill me, but we're actually going on a little lunch date. So if I have time, we'll do the second leg up to Eureka. But right now we're going up to Ukiah from Hayward, California. I used to fly this. This is where I started out my freight career, was right here in the Central Bay Area. So we're going to do this. I'm going to share my thoughts with you. We're going to go over what I've learned so far, what I think so far, and yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think this airplane definitely is... you can tell, the best way I can put it right now is, you can tell there was a lot of effort put into everything that you see in this airplane. Like, they really took their time developing this airplane, paying attention to detail, and it really shows. You can see here, we're just chilling. We got the little pitot flags waving in the wind. That is pretty cool stuff. You got the little intake covers there, the intake cover there, the exhaust cover there, rather. So good stuff. Let's go. Drew Kripe, good to see you. Havoc's in the house. Fire Flyer, good to see you. Captain Will's in the house. Flight Sim Guy. Brian Starks Fubar, good to see you, my friend. Brian Baffle, Digital Merc, Soup JC, Thrust Set, Ducatari, Devil Doc, Team of Vodka, and many more. Good to see everybody here in the chat. Appreciate you. And as always, oh, frame issue there. Ooh, is that a TBM sitting next to me? Ooh, look at that. It's a spicy TBM. I love props. I love PT6s. Doesn't get a lot of traction on the tubes and the algorithm, so if you do like this stuff, please hit that like button, because I could stream these all the time, but it would be kind of pointless because I'd say probably 30% of viewers are the only ones interested in turboprops and GA aircraft, but I love them. So you can see here right now, we've got the cargo door open. I'm running like just kind of one of the default liveries they got for this airplane. I really would like to see this in a fictional Ameriflight livery or some type of FedEx feeder or something, some premium freight. But you could see this is actually pretty cool. This is a great size comparison between the TBM 850 and the PC12. I love the TBM. The TBM is kind of like it's a sports car. It's like a Ferrari. It's nimble. It's quick. It's fast. It's hard to tame. It is a spicy airplane. PC12, to my surprise, is actually much more lethargic. It's kind of like trying to get a sloth out of a tree. It's slow, but it is slow and deliberate, if that makes sense. So I didn't even know you could open this cargo door back here. I'm going to figure out if I can close it up here. I don't even know how to close it up. So I was just clicking around right before the stream went live, and I shouldn't have done that. So we need to figure out how to close this bad boy. Maybe we have to come out here. There we go. All right, let's close up this cargo door. That's pretty cool. And is it locked? I heard the lever. Okay, the lever is down, so the aft cargo door is locked. Wonderful. Into the cockpit we go. Ket Cow, good to see you, man. Always a pleasure. Welcome to the live stream here. We've got our lovely sunshades, and this is what I'm talking about, detail, guys. So when you put these sunshades up, now I've never flown the PC12, but I've flown airplanes where we throw sunshades up in them all the time. You got to bring down this visor to keep the sunshade in position. So it's pretty cool that they even have this little detail here.
Props.
Havoc. Props. Thank you for the $5 bank angle check, Havoc. Appreciate you, my friend. Props. I love them. I love the PT6 especially, as you know. So let's go ahead and get this thing fired up. So to get rid of this, we're going to move the sun visor, then we're just going to click this sucker out of the way. Now, I'm not going to click it all the way to the top because it'll block some of the buttons up here. We're going to go right into an engine start. This airplane is very simple to start. The checklists are very straightforward. You can see why this is a very nice, easy, single pilot airplane to operate. Let's go ahead and close up this door here. We'll get the stairs in. And we're just going to fire her right up. All right, door is closed, and let's latch it so it is locked. Perfect. Door is locked. We are closing arm. We'll remove the flight controls there, and we're going to get right into it. So let's go battery on, battery 2. 2 batteries coming on. We'll get our nav lights on. We're not going to use ground power. We're going to go right into engine start and ground idle. So we're going to go beacon light on. That is good. Recogs can stay off. Fuel pumps are in auto. Everything looks good here. Avionics are off. Everything looks good on this panel here. We can see we've got our engine displays. Everything looks good. We're going to go right into an engine start. Make sure my sounds are set. And we're going to, I believe, we keep everything in auto for the PC12. So I'm not going to turn ignition on. You'll hear it automatically. Now let me get my camera set so we can do a little exterior view shot here. Perfect. There we go. Engine start. Monitoring our NG, we're going to go into low idle. There's the igniters. There's the light off. Pretty good sounds, pretty good. Pretty good on the sounds there. All right, we got a good start on number one. The only engine. You can see the starter automatically cuts out. That looks good. Let's go ahead and get generator 1, generator 2, avionics 1, avionics 2 is coming online. We'll get the inert SEP on. We'll get the probe heat on. We'll get the passenger and seatbelt sign on. We'll let everything power up here. Now, one thing to note is I'm running the default cockpit. I do have my TDS. For some reason, it's bugged out. The only airplane it works on is the King Air for me. And I know it's a my system issue because people are flying around with the TDS just fine. When I have the TDS installed, my nav display does not work. It just glitches out. It just says it won't like switch over to the CDI. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. It's driving me nuts. I was really hoping I'd have the TDS for this flight. I want to do some TDS videos, but it's just not working. So I don't know if I have to just do a full reinstall. It's not an airplane problem. It's not an SWS problem. It's my configuration problem. We'll go ahead and get the GPSs fired up here. They're coming online. We'll go ahead and turn on the transponder. And with everything set there, we're going to go into a couple of systems checks. I'm going to just kind of hit the magic barrel ref key first. We'll push to reset that. I'm going to start here at the top while we're looking at it. I'm going to set our cruise altitude. We're going to go up to Ukiah at, I don't know what I filed. We do have an IFR flight plan on file, but nobody's here. So let's just go ahead and dial in, I'll tell you what, we'll dial in 14,000. 14,000 is set. There's our train inhibit. Let's do a train
EGPWS system OK.
EGPWS tested. I'm going to hide the yoke here for a second if I can. Ah, there we go. Hide the yoke. That looks good. We're norm EPS. We're going to leave that off for right now. We are slave to slave. Basically, you want to have your slave compass. You don't want acting like a whiskey compass. Coming over here to this panel, I'm going to set up our ECS right now. I'm going to get rid of the first officer yoke. ECS is going to go into auto. Our cruise altitude, what I dial in? 14,000, so I'm going to set 14,000, just a very low pressurization. I'm going to move this to about the 11 o'clock position here. And that is in the auto position. Temperature, it's cold. Let's go ahead and just make it nice and warm right there. All right, we'll put it in the auto position. Looking down here for our trims, this is very important. Luckily, by default, when you load in, everything is trimmed for takeoff. So your rudder trim, that's your rudder trim, counteract that torque. Definitely have a torque effect on this airplane when you're rolling down the runway, so your trim is actually offsetting that torque effect, so you don't have to be mashing full right rudder and trying to maintain control. Now, I have seen some interesting behavior on the takeoff roll with this airplane. It did it on my first flight. I restarted the sim, it didn't do it again, but it was almost like at 100 knots, my P factor went from 0 to 1,000, and like I couldn't keep the airplane straight on the runway instantly. So I don't know if that's something on what's going on there, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Everything else, though, our trims are set. We'll go ahead and set our takeoff flaps to 15. The reason I'm setting flaps 15 right now is because we have to do an additional pusher test, and the way that you do the pusher test, or a stall protection test is to make sure that the flaps are in the 15 or have to be greater than 0. So we put it in the first notch there at 15. And as far as the cockpit lighting goes, I'll turn the panel lighting on. Some really nice cockpit lighting. I know it's kind of brightened up now, and I kind of like doing these first flights where we can see everything with the natural daylight. But I did do a sunrise flight when I was practicing this morning. It was completely dark. The floodlights, everything here, it's a really nicely lit cockpit. It actually looks really nice. But this is your main lighting panel here. And if you wanted to turn on your floodlights, well, that's the cabin floodlight. Like here's your, and then we can turn it down a little bit. So here's your panel flood. I like to just make it look a little bit warm in here. Like that looks pretty good. Now I wonder, I'm trying to figure out how to dim this guy. That's the one thing I don't think that's a panel light. Where can we dim the EFIS? Is there a, oh, there it is. There it is. This should do it. Nope, that's the bottom one, so maybe this one. There we go, I found it. So to dim your PFD and EHSI, you want to use this little brightness knob down here on your control panel. This is pretty much which system you want the airplane to fly with, whether you want to be using GPS mode or VOR mode, which OBS needles you need, your heading knob, your course knob. This is all right here. If you're familiar with the King Air and stuff, that's typically down here on this panel. So if you're looking for that, it's right here. Weather radar, I don't believe is functional, right? So we're going to just go ahead and leave that in the off position. Everything else looks good though. Yeah, we don't even have a weather radar installed right now. All right, so our cockpit prep is pretty much complete. You see here, we have a pusher. This is the CADU. I know it's a CADU. It's the cockpit alert something, basically like an IKIS, your caution panel. So to get rid of the pusher, we have to do the stick pusher test. And this is actually really cool the way they've simulated this. Now I know in the real airplane, when you do a test like this, I'm pretty sure it's the same on the PC12. You'd probably have to do it on both yokes. But on this one, I think you can just do it on one yoke and it works just fine. So how we set up for this, flaps 15, we're going to come up to the overhead, we're going to press the pusher test button. With the pusher test button activated in flaps 15, we're going to increase power just a little bit. Now we get a stick shaker. And look, there's the pusher. It's pushed the yoke into the panel. Now we need to disconnect right there. So now we've disconnected the pusher. We can come back. We'll turn off the test. And there we go. We can remove that button. So that is your stick pusher test. And you can see it's exactly what it does. It pushes the yoke forward. That is to reduce the odds of you stalling the aircraft. Now in the manual it has a really cool table that shows you the speeds at which the pusher will activate at the corresponding flap setting. So if you're getting ready to take this airplane into some short fields, do some short approaches, I would highly recommend that you become intimately familiar or even just have it up on the checklist next to you what speeds this pusher is going to activate. Now I have the manual up next to me right now, and I can, if I scroll down to it, I can just give you some examples. So pusher activation speeds, depending on weight. Flaps 30, or if you're doing flaps 40, it's anywhere from 51 knots to 66 knots, depending on your weight, is when the pusher will activate. If you are flaps up, doing like a no flap landing, maybe you have some type of flap malfunction, which we'll get into in a minute, it's from 72 knots all the way up to possibly 93 knots, depending on your weight. So there are some things that you would definitely want to be familiar with when you're starting to really put this airplane to its limits, which is really what it's designed for. Short field performance, stopping quick, taking off quick, and taking a good load in and out of these short fields. So they don't call this airplane the Swiss Army knife for nothing. It is a very capable airplane, and it's pretty sweet. Like, if I'm being completely honest, it is a pretty sweet little bird. I used to, when I was an instructor, there was a PC12 tour company that we shared like the same little hangar facility. We always got to see the PC12s. So I do have a little special memory of these airplanes. That's pretty cool to be in the cockpit. I've never flown one personally, but this is pretty darn close, I would imagine, to flying one. All right, 14,000 feet is set. Everything else is good. Let's do a quick flight plan. Again, we're just kind of being slow here with our. We should have probably done this on ground power, but we're just getting her up. So we're going to start at KHWD, which is Hayward. We're going to enter from Hayward. We have a quick flight plan. We're going to Oak VOR. which we're not probably going to fly over. We'll probably just go direct to ENI. And then from Oakland, it's going to be Kennebunk, ENI. And this is the exact flight plan I used to file when I had to do this route for real. And the reason being, going into Ukiah Airport, which is K-U-K-I. Oops. Oh no, I did it again. Uh-oh. My keyboard's frozen. Because of, I hit K. Clear, clear, clear. Okay, there we go, back at it. I hit K on the keyboard and it didn't like that. UK. Why can't I hit? Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll just do it this way. I guess there's a binding there. K, U, K, I for the airport. And I'll get to your messages here in a minute, Chad. I just want to get this thing fired up. Get us out of here, because I am on a time limit today. All right, there's our flight plan. Hayward, Oakland, Kennebunk, Ukiah. We can enter that. That looks good. Now for departures, the winds are favoring pretty much 1-0 right now. Actually, let's just double check. I thought they were. We'll take a quick VTAR look at it here. Let's take a look at the Hayward weather. 150 at 8. So yeah, we're going to blast off of 1-0. And we would either do a right 270 departure or a left 270 off 28s or 10. So we're going to take off 10 right. We'll make a right 270 and cross midfield, and then we'll get a direct 2 and be on our way. Our altitudes are set. Our testing is done. I think we're about ready to get out of here. Let's make sure we have Unicom, though, on 122.8 in the active. I already loaded up the airplane weight and balance just to give you guys an idea. Simulating peak season here, I got us loaded up pretty heavy. We're just about 700 pounds below max takeoff weight, so we're simulating a pretty full airplane. But again, like I said, this airplane is very capable in what it can do, so you'll be pretty impressed by the performance. VOR 1 is going to be, that's the last thing I should have set. I'm sorry, I need to go back to charts. Really cool. You can use sectionals now on the new Navigraph app, which I think is pretty darn cool. The VOR though for Oakland is 116.8. 116.8. So we'll push cursor 116.8. We'll put you in the active, and then after Oakland, the Kennebunk VOR is gonna be frequency 112.3. Again, I'm just using the Navigraph app right now. Not the app, but the desktop thing. All right, 112.3 in standby. And what we could do is we can actually put 112.3 in active number 2. Boom. Boom. There we go. So now we've got all of our navs set up and ready to go. We're going to be departing off 10. We'll heading sync when we get out of here. All right. So, is there a GTN 750 option? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. All right, let's roll. We're ready to go, chat. Let's go ahead and go taxi light on. You've got Hayward traffic. Flight 202 going to be taxiing runway 10 right. Hayward traffic. All right, parking brakes coming off. Taxi light is on. Let's go. Now, one thing, this is really cool. I'll show you this. This is a rudder aileron interconnect here. So I'll pull up my camera so you can see what I'm doing here. This is not a bug. So if I press, I got my hands off the yoke. If I press right rudder, look at the aileron, the yoke. So that is a functional interconnect to help. I remember reading this in the manual. It's basically meant for flight, to aid you in flight with the automation of the rudder when you roll. So on the ground, you still get the aileron rolling. Ailerons roll on when you move the rudder. So it's pretty cool. That's not a bug. That is how it's supposed to be. Also, what's pretty cool is I like the way you can bind the beta similar to the TBM 850. So what I've got my control set up here is I flip a lever, and now I've got full access here to beta range. So you can see here I'm in beta, and I can just taxi in beta. I can keep my reversers pretty much, or the levers flipped up. And then when I want to go normal thrust, I flip them forward. And now I've got a forward thrust on the power lever. So the way they have it set up to bind, pretty darn nice. I think it makes it very easy for anyone with a honeycomb or just like a one button. It doesn't have to be the levers. Whatever button you want to use, you just bind that to toggle. And then you can continue to use your thrust levers as normal. So like right here, I'm not even going to touch the brakes. I'm just going to go with a little bit of beta here. Love that sound. Very good sound set. Let's do it again from up front here. So this is a really good sound pack, and I'm going to go ahead and just set the brake. I'm going to show something here. Oops, brakes are set. So you can hear the core of the engine, the jet, the hot section, and then you can also hear the props. Like it's you can tell there's some nice recordings done with this. You hear that? I mean, that's a pretty darn accurate representation of the PT6 sound. Do it from the angle here. We'll just go forward thrust. See how it's different? That's with the blades going forward. Now we'll go into beta. Very nice. Very nice. I think the sound set is really good. I wish it was just a teeny bit louder, but you know, you could always have louder. All right, let's taxi up to the runway and hold short. Brakes are off, I think. Did I turn them off? Yeah, brakes are off. We are heavy, so it needs a little bit more power. Does this airplane need a run-up? Yes, we could do a full-blown, I wouldn't say run-up, but no, it doesn't actually need a run-up, but you could do a couple other checks. For the sake of time, I'm gonna pass that today, Jeremy, but we'll be back in this airplane for sure. As far as behavior on the ground, right now, taxiing, I think it's nice. Now, when we get to takeoff, I want to see if what happens to me before is going to happen to me again. It was almost like at 100 knots, my P-factor torque went from 0 to 100, and I could almost not keep the airplane on the runway. I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong or what, but we'll take a look here on this takeoff. We'll make sure Team Vodka gets out of here first. We'll hold short here. Runway 10 right, and we'll set the brake. We'll wait for him to depart. As far as takeoff configuration, inert sep's on, probe heater is on, that's all good to go. Fuel pumps, I looked in the manual, I didn't see where it said to turn them on for takeoff. I think if it was conditions dictating that, you would turn them on. I think auto was sufficient, so we'll leave them in auto. We'll leave the ignition in auto as well. Now, operator could be different, or maybe someone in chat might have a better might be able to tell me the actual what they used to do. Why can't I find? There's my landing light. I guess it was on my honeycomb. I'm gonna have to unbind that. So everything is good on the overhead, and it looks like he blasted off out of here. Raphael, good to see you, man. Can someone clarify what is changing with props in RPM or beta? Basically, the angle of the propeller blades are changing to, instead of having a positive angle of attack, in beta, they're almost completely flat and sometimes slightly negative, meaning that as they spin, instead of pushing thrust rearward, moving the airplane forward, it's going to actually reduce the amount of thrust forward and sometimes create negative thrust, which is what we call reverse thrust, thus slowing the airplane's momentum down. And then if you go further into reverse, those blades continue to change to a negative pitch angle, and then you are actually throwing thrust forward with the blades. I did an in-depth video on this on my Freight Dog series a long time ago. I might have to revisit that here as we get more and more advanced airplanes out. So that's a good question, and I will hopefully be able to maybe do a video on that in the future. All right, I'm going to sync up the heading bug. Our direct to course Oakland VOR is that's our heading. I'm going to actually set course 025 about what I want to what I want to fly. I'm not actually bugging a course here. So we're going to make a right. We're going to make a right, what is that, 270-degree turn out of here. The tablet is not working yet, Superdill. All right. So takeoff power is pretty simple, about 40% torque. You can do reduced torque takeoffs. You want to monitor your ITT as well, just like we talked about before in multiple PT6 videos. Although today, with the temperature being nice and cool as is, it's really not going to be a factor. We're not going to be ITT limited. We'll be torque limited on this departure. So everything is set. Magic Barrel ref key 14,000 feet. And I'm going to leave the flight director off for this takeoff, so we're just going to hand fly it, and we're going to make a right 360 departure up to 14,000. Hayward traffic, AmFly 202 departing runway 10 right, Hayward. Let's go. Yoga's in chat. We're going to go high idle on the condition lever. Or I shouldn't say high idle, it's flight idle in the PC12. Hold the brakes here for a little bit. And I'll release the brakes. There's our prop governor. Get that torque in. Right about 42. A little bit over torque. And come back a little bit. That was a little much. Airspeed alive. There's 100 knots. Now see that? Look. See, I'm almost full left rudder. Positive rate. Gear up. Here comes 400 feet. We're making a right 270-degree turn out of the white arc. We'll go flaps 0. Watch that nose drop a little bit. Remember, trim on this airplane. You definitely want to be using trim on the flight controls. Probably get a little bit more torque in there. I brought it back a little bit too far. So we want to keep pitching up. We don't want to accelerate too fast because then our radius of turn will be too far. So when I was flying pistons, we actually could lower the nose here, but this thing, we got so much power. We want to keep coming around until we fly perpendicular to the runway so we avoid Oakland airspace. And in real life right now, we'd be communicating with Oakland departure, and they'd be giving us a heading. So pretty much you want to try to go right over the field here. This is what we used to do. Tight right turn. You can see we got so much power here, I can even pitch up even more. Coming up about 10 degrees. Resync my heading bug. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the yaw damper on. I'm going to go ahead and select heading mode, bring up my flight director. We'll hand fly it for a little bit. Let's get our course. They really wouldn't give you direct Oakland right now. In this case, we'd probably get a more of a heading. So let's give ourselves a heading of about 360 and flight 202, fly heading 360. In the turn. Now what I will say is hand flying this airplane feels very good. It is very docile. So much so that I even remove some of my reactivity. I'm almost straight linear on everything, and it's still very slow to react. There's 170 knots. We'll go IAS hold, AIS pitch. We use that for climb out. 2,000 feet a minute. We're looking good. We'll trim it out. We're hands off. Look how easy it is to fly. I mean, it hand flies very, very nice. Lower the nose, a little bit more trim there. We don't want to get too slow. Beautiful. I'll give a full screen cam here. You can see that I'm very light on the controls. Now as we're accelerating, well, we're still at 160. As we accelerate, we're going to be working that trim out. But what's cool is with the yaw damper engaged, or actually no, when the autopilot's engaged, that trim is really going to be automatically trimmed out. But as if we were to be accelerating here, we would start moving that rudder trim into more of a neutral position. What we can do, let's actually go flight plan, and are we picking up VOR2? We are picking up VOR2, so let's do this VOR ways. Let's skip Oakland. Let's go direct to 112.3. We'll sync up the course line, which is right about there, and we'll go ahead and fly that heading. So spin the heading knob over. We're going to intercept a direct to ENI VOR, 160 knots in the climb out. We're looking good. Let's see here, I need a little more of the left rudder. That turn. Sync up right about there is fine. My heading bug up. I mean, it's so docile on the controls. And if that's what the real PC12 drivers say this airplane flies like, then they did a fantastic job, because it is one of the most, straight up, this is the most docile airplanes I have flown in Microsoft Flight Simulator when it comes to twitchiness or sensitivity. It is the most docile of anything I've flown. Very close to almost how, even more docile than the BAE 146. I feel like the 146 is also very docile, especially the 300. Same thing here with this PC12. Same thing here. All right, I'm basically hands off the yoke. We'll go autopilot on. And you can see here it's going to kind of stabilize what it's pitching at, and we'll go nav mode. So it's going to actively track the radial 2. We'll keep an eye here. You see AP trim is on. We'll keep an eye on the trim indicators here as the airplane accelerates. You'll see that trim will start to work itself almost completely neutral. I'm going to lower the sim down. Now we had basically full sounds, and we'll get back to it. We'll kind of monitor the climb out here. We're 35 on the torque, 1700 RPM, 95 NG. Everything is looking pretty good. So we've got 4,000 feet to go. Which do I like more, PC12 or TBM 850? Brian, the one thing that I'll say this. When you have airplanes like this, the PC12, TBM 850, any little light prop jobs, I feel like, me personally, I need to have some type of modeling where I know that if I abuse the airplane, I'm going to damage it. Now, I know I'm probably a small percentage of simmers out there. So right now, as this airplane sits, there's no failures, there's no damage. So you could just go full torque and yank and bank, and you're not going to break anything. Later on, that's going to be coming as a paid update. I will probably, not probably, I will be picking up that portion because I think that will add more sense of gotta do things right in this airplane. Like, to me, this is a really good airplane for someone who just wants to learn how to fly. Maybe you want to step into faster airplanes. Maybe you fly like GA 172s. You just do a lot of GA flying low and slow, but you want to kind of start stepping into that turboprop game, getting used to some more systems. This is going to be the airplane for you, even more so than the TBM, because this airplane is so docile and so forgiving that I feel like it's really good for someone who wants to branch out of their comfort zone and learn a more complex aircraft and some more systems. TBM, if you don't have any experience with jets or managing pressurization, things of that nature, or managing your engines, it will punish you. I mean, it will absolutely punish you. So for that aspect alone, I still personally prefer the TBM for, I never armed the altitude like a rookie. There we go, talking about how docile and how nice things are. We'll set 15,000 feet. Make sure you arm it. There we go. So altitude is armed.
Cabin pressure.
Oh, shoot. Why is cabin pressure not climbing? We got to go above, we're going above 14. That's pretty cool. See, it even told you. Let's increase the rate of climb. Increase the rate of climb. There we go. It's coming up now. So, there we go. Make sure you arm it. Did I not turn on the air? No, we're in auto. Everything's good. There's our alert. 15,000 feet. We're leveling off. Everything is looking good. Question on the Boeing yoke to use additional spring. No, Colin, I'm using default springs in the TC. I'm still using the TCA yoke. Now we got to figure out why. I need this cabin to climb up here. So we're actually at 15, so we should be setting 1,000 above that. So set 16,000. So here we go. We're going to go ahead. The cabin is climbing up. We got a little ahead of ourselves. Have I tried the FSR 500? I have not. Cloud Action. The only reason I haven't is because I have a personal vendetta against G1000 airplanes in simulators. That's the only reason why. I've heard it's very good, and I may end up getting it at some point, but I just I don't like G1000s. All right, so we're gonna go direct to on the flight plan. We'll go nav page 4. No, let's go back. There we go. I like to have my GPS set like this. All right, we're in cruise. We're level 14,000. Let's go ahead and get the seatbelt. No smoking sign can come off. Inert SEP, I should have shut that off after takeoff. That's my fault. Inert SEP could have come off after takeoff. We can get the taxi lights. Oh, I can't reach them because I'm going to leave the lights on because my bindings are messed up, guys. We're going to leave all the lights on for right now. But we're leveling 10,000. We'll do our cruise checks here. TBM is definitely faster, Wingnut. It is faster. And I want to check a cruise performance table here. But like, so this is an example. I know it doesn't matter what I cruise at because I know I'm not going to damage the engine. TBM, you got to know where your power settings are, or you will cause damage and it will fail on you. Now, I am a very small percentage of flight simmers. I understand that, so I know it's not important to a lot of people. But once that becomes implemented as a paid update, which I will get, then I think this airplane is going to be a really solid bird, and I will probably get a lot of enjoyment out of it, especially with the payloading. I mean, it's this airplane can carry some weight. I mean, 10,500 pounds is like, or 10.7 is the max takeoff weight. That's pretty good. All right, so I'm looking at maximum cruise performance right now. We should set a torque approximately for 16,000 feet at 35 torque. So I'm going to bring my torque back. We're at 37. Let's set a max cruise or a max performance cruise at 35 torque. ITT is coming down. Let's make sure our ITT is in limits. Fuel flow says it should be around 498. Right now we're doing 501. Look at that. We are literally 2 pounds off of the actual manual. This is very good. This is, again, the attention to detail and the system's functionality, the fuel flows, everything they've done here, very good, very realistic. Fuel flow it's literally 3 pounds off, 4 pounds off now of what it should be in the manual. Making sure I have it. Let's check some other references here for the max cruise performance at 16,000. At our gross weight, which is approximately 9,000 pounds, we should be getting close to 205 indicated. So we are, look at that. We're just about 205 indicated. I mean, that is really cool. That is the fact that you have values that close to the real values of the airplane performance is awesome. That is awesome. I love to see that. This brightness knob. There we go. I'm trying to. Oh, that's too bright. I don't know. I got like this. Is this a reflection thing? I'm not loving this reflection. Maybe I need to run it brighter. It's almost like there's plastic on the glass. I don't know. Everything looks good there. I guess I could turn this panel light off. Actually, let's turn the panel back on. Let's turn the flood off. That's a little bit better. All right, we're 15,000 feet. We're cruising. We're 68 miles from the VOR. Let's take a look outside. I mean, slick looking airplane. Slick looking airplane. All right, I've been, again, these airplanes, super fun to fly. I love flying them. Not good streaming airplanes because of the workload. I tend to not pay attention to chat. So I apologize if you're trying to get your questions out. Now is a good time while we're in cruise here shortly. We can run over some stuff. With my flights, I always get pressure alerts. This version seems to get too close to max differential at cruise. ETN, are you out climbing? Are you out climbing your pressurization? If that's the case, make sure you, and this is also, it can happen real world where you can have so much performance that you're actually out climbing your cabin pressurization system, especially when you're light. So sometimes you just have to do intermediate level off, let the cabin come up, or make sure you're setting your pressurization altitude 1,000 above your actual cruise altitude. So today we're cruising at 15. I set 16 now, and make sure you increase that rate knob so you can increase the rate at which the cabin climbs. That's something that'll happen in the TBM too if you're not careful. The glass reflection is the known bug. They're going to do a fix. Dougal, good to see you, man. Sorry, I missed your comment earlier. Glad you're here, Dougal. I know you've been wanting to see this airplane. What are your thoughts on it, Dougal? I am surprised at how docile it flies, but then when I look at the ailerons out here, how small they actually are, kind of makes sense. I mean, I guess they're not that small, but it's so forgiving. It's a joy. It is an absolute joy to hand fly. It really is. Josh, welcome back to Private Pilot. Glad to have you here. Be careful, the gust lock hotspot is atop the yoke quick spot. Just shut off my autopilot and locked my controls. Oh, good deal, Team Vodka. I'll try not to hit that. Why is P factor only a real issue at high AOA when you're in the air? Because as you accelerate, Jeremy, the slipstream is not going to be hitting the rudder. So if you look at, if we were to do a very elementary description of the slipstream and P factor, so there's actually multiple factors. There's P factor, torque, and like the slipstream effect. So when you're slow speeds, if you imagine kind of like a ribbon of air going around the fuselage and then impacting the rudder, thus causing a yaw moment, at slow speeds, that's what's going to happen. As you speed up, that ribbon of air is going to be stretched a little bit further, and then it won't be impacting the rudder. Plus, the faster that you're moving through the air, the more effective your vertical stabilizer is going to be as well. So, so those contribute to being slower speeds, higher AOA, where that's going to become more of an issue. As you accelerate, though, let's take a look at our trim. And remember, when the autopilot's on, the trim is done manually. Look at that. So the autopilot has pretty much auto-trimmed that takeoff rudder almost completely neutral, which is pretty neat. I mean, that's pretty cool that it does that. Oh, you haven't flown it yet? Jeez. You can store it? Store what? Oh yeah, you can store performance and everything with these buttons down here. So you can do the fuel reset, menu test, the store button, and if you hit menu, it actually puts your ITT and torque down on this page or whatever. It's pretty cool. There is a lot of depth to what's going on. I'm not even scratching the surface of the subsystems on this airplane, and I probably will. Like I said though, once that update comes out, that paid update for wear and tear, I hope that's part of it. I know they said the failures are going to be part of a paid update, but I really hope they have some wear and tear included. So like if you hot start this airplane, you're still going to have a perfectly running engine. If you hot start the TBM, you're going to have a degraded engine, and it may not even start. You may have to repair it via the menu. So I like, when you have simple airplanes, I like having something there to keep me in check, because I don't just, if I know I can get away with improper technique and improper procedure, then I'm probably going to do it because it's not going to cost me anything. But if I know, hey, I've been flying at cruise for this long, if I were to just to fly down and yank the power back and crack a manifold or whatever in the pistons, like what was that really good piston that we had in X-Plane 11, you know, you got to know to stage cool. So I like having systems in place to keep me in check when I fly light aircraft. Can you check if darts, oh, didn't say that. Big Bird last stream, now this little bitty whiskey. Exactly, Merlin. Put it this way, my buddy put me in the left seat of a 2700 by 30 foot strip at night for my first ever flight, and it was a non-event. That's how docile this airplane is. That is crazy. So Wingnut has 3,000 hours in the PC12. Non-event, landing at a 2,700 foot strip at 30 feet wide at night. Like that is a testament to the design of this airplane and its capabilities. I like this view right here. If I kind of, let me zoom out. That long nose right there, pretty cool. All right, I'd like to hang out more in chat, but we're 56 miles out. It looks like we're going to be shooting a localizer approach into Ukiah. So let me go ahead and pull up Navigraph so you can see what I'm looking at. We're going to go down here to the airport itself. Ukiah approaches. Actually, I think I already started. Here it is, Loc 15 approach. So we're going to have to shoot this approach full procedure from the Mendocino VOR. I don't know why I kept saying Kennebunk. Mendocino VOR. It looks like the feeder route 5,600 feet. Let's call it 6,000. Let's go ahead and begin trickling down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set 6,000 feet in the window, and I'm also going to pull for vertical speed. I'm going to do 100 feet a minute. I'm going to engage that. 200 is fine. And now I'm going to slowly roll it in about 1,200 feet a minute. Vertical speed. Engage. There we go. Oh, no, I did it wrong. Now it's... Oh, I didn't arm the altitude. That's why. 6,000. Arm. Pull for vertical speed. Engage. There we go. Now, that was a little bit more aggressive, but we're flying boxes. There's a much smoother way to do that with proper technique. What I just did was not proper technique. What I would do, scroll in your lower altitude, arm the altitude, select vertical speed 200, engage vertical speed at 200, and then scroll in the descent rate that you want to keep things a little bit smoother. As we nose over here in vertical speed mode, remember, you do not have an auto throttle, so we need to go ahead and start working that torque back, unless you want to come in here like Wingnut, doing a shit hot brake over the carrier. So we'll go ahead and bring that torque back. I'm going to slow down a little bit, and I'll get the Navigraph off the screen. But we need to set up for this approach as well. So the localizer is 109.1. I'm going to put that in nav 2 now, since I don't need it. I'm at 109.1. The final approach course is going to be 155, and we're going to have to do a let me go nav 2, VOR 2. How come I only have one? Where's VOR 2? Oh, there we go, VOR 2. Course is going to be 151. So I'm setting up the localizer course on the second screen, right, on this FO side. Since when do you keep the weird FO? I don't know, she's keeping me company up here. 151 is set. We're 36 miles out. I'm going to go ahead and reduce power a little bit. I'm going to slow down because it's going to give me a little bit more time here to configure. We'll pick up our rate of descent. We'll set 1,500 feet here in the descent. We're at 12.7 for 6,000. All right, right now we're following VOR1 outbound. Let's take a look. When we hit Mendocino VOR, we need to track outbound on the 344. So I'm going to set my heading bug to 344. 344 is set. That'll remind me here. We're still a little ways out. I'm a little early on this. But 344, and then we'll track 344 outbound. And then once we're tracking outbound, we're going to intercept the localizer back course, do a procedure turn at, what is that? From IUKI at 16.5. We'll do a procedure turn with a parallel entry. And we should be all right. We need to reset our pressurization in the descent as well. We're going to be landing at sea level. So I'm going to go ahead and set sea level. And you can see the cabin is descending now. So always want to double check to make sure you do that. Getting ready to go through 10. Our lights are on. It looks like we're going to be going into some possible icing conditions. So we do have our boots and propeller ice up here. Windshield wipers, heavy and light, I'm assuming that's what that is, and the inert SEP, so that's pretty cool. My feet always get cold, so let's turn our foot warmers on. Let's turn our recogs on because they're cool looking. At 10,000 feet, we're on the descent, 30 miles out from Mendocino. We're looking good. Wingnut, looks like you're picking it up right now. Captain Duggo, is there a flight after this? It's 120. I wanted to go to Eureka. But I'm meeting flying guitarist Sam today for lunch. So he's the first or the second person that I've ever met on YouTube. So I don't want to be late. Let's see, how far away? 1:32. I got to be there at 3. I got to go home and change. We'll see. When we land on the ground, we'll take a look. We'll see if we'll do a second leg up to Eureka, like one of my favorite prop airports. We'll get the panel floods back on. All right, we're entering icing conditions now. Inert SEP is on. 8.9 for 6,000, 26 miles out. Where in the procedure turn do you plan on cutting off Team Vodka? All right, I'm also going to put we're going to be preemptive here. Our localizer in nav1 standby, so I don't have to fiddle around with the radios. 109.1 is set there. And really, what I should do, I'm going to have to nav on nav1. I'll be able to switch to nav2, which is the inbound course, so we'll be fine here. We're looking good. There's multiple ways you could set up your radios here for this. I'm just going to keep it with this one. All right, we're approaching our level off. I'm going to kind of slow that descent rate now. Let's come back to about 1,000 feet per minute. Stay in public, V1. I'm sure it'll be fine. Well, we're definitely staying in public. Don't worry, we'll be in public. Good to see you, Fubar. Did you fly past power off glide range in a single engine? Ever bother you back in the day? Power off glide range in a single engine? Drew, yeah, I'm sure I've done it. I mean, you just have to be careful. All right, 1,000 feet to level off. There's our alert. That looks good. Let's do a magic barrel ref check here at 3018. I wonder if we're close enough to Ukiah. Mitar, Ukiah Municipal, 180 at 3, 4 miles, light rain mist. Beautiful. This is a freight dog's paradise right here. Broken 3400. Broken 3400, if I look at the chart, our minimums for this approach are going to be at 2300, which is 1,600 feet above the ground. So we should have plenty of room to see this. And we're going to be landing 1.5, no circle to land required. I've done this on the circle at minimums. That's spicy. That is spicy when I do a circle at minimums on this one, because there's all kinds of terrain in here. But looks like we can just do the full procedure, lope 1.5. There's the alert. We're leveling. Now as we level, let's go ahead and get our power back in. But I also don't want to be coming in here at 220 knots either. So I'm going to let the power slide off to, let's call it 180 knots. That'll be probably a pretty decent approach speed for the procedure. We're 17 miles out. We're making a right turn to 344 after crossing over the VOR or close to it. We'll track the 344 outbound. The tracking outbound is going to be approximately 20 miles that we intercept. So things are looking good. Since it's 20 miles, let's set power. Let's do 190. Let's not let it come back too fast. Ground speed 197. We're looking good. We're level 6,000. Look at these rain effects. That is cool. No Rex Royce. I didn't put the approach in the GPS because I want to fly at raw data, just like we used to. All right, we're 6,000 feet and we're armed, right? We're altitude, yeah, alt 6,000, autopilot yaw damper. This is beautiful, though. Definitely some chop. Definitely some chop out here today. All right, 13 miles till we start our right turn. Cabin looks good. We've come down. Cabin's pressurized. That looks good. We're still squawking a VFR on altitude. 151 inbound is set, so we see that over here on the lope 2. Looking good. So we're going to track outbound 344, then we'll switch over to lope. Once we're approximately 20 miles, we'll track outbound on the localizer back course, For a procedure turn, we could do a parallel or we could do opposite. If we do teardrop entry, it'd be a left turn. What would that be? 1, 2, 5, 305. Could do a left turn 305 for a teardrop. That might be easier. That'd be easier to do a teardrop entry. But right now, wow, I saw a reflection of the HSI on the glass. Look at that. Oh, you can barely see it. Like right here, I see a little bit of green. Now, one thing that I do want to find is where's our outside air temperature gauge? That's our chronograph. I'm sure it's somewhere in a very visible position. Outside air temperature, chat. Squawking VFR while in IMC. Nothing to see here. Where's our outside air temp? OAT is on the engine pane. Oh yeah, right where it should be. OAT, 0 degrees C. So we are in prime icing conditions. I'm curious. Let's blow a boot. I'm just curious. Can we see it pop? Unless my eye, yeah, it's moving. Are my eyes playing tricks on me, or did that boot actually move, chat? It's moving. Our de-ice boots are actually working. That is really cool. All right, we're 4 miles. Let's focus. Let's come up here and turn this off. No more playing with the boots. We don't need it, but I will turn on prop. I'll turn on the prop heat for sure. Why is our inert SEP off? Inert SEP's coming back on. All right, we're 3.6, 3.5, 3.4. I'm going to go ahead and switch heading mode now. Approximately 344. I'm going to set my course line now to 344. 344 is set. We are tracking outbound. Let's reduce speed a little bit. This is going to get spicy. I could make that heading a little bit more aggressive to intercept. Let's make it about a 330 intercept here. And now we can go ahead and descend to 5,600. Arm U. Pull for vertical speed. Boxes don't bitch. Engage. 1,000 feet per minute coming down for 400 feet. That's aggressive. But we're going to get down to 5,600 now. Tracking outbound, approximately 20 miles. We should be able to intercept. We're definitely flying this some ice now. Leveling off. I'm going to come back a little bit further left here. I was a little premature on that intercept heading there. All right, so we are flying. Oh, we have a crosswind too. That's what's doing it. Look at that 25 knot crosswind. Yeah, we got a cross track here. That's why you should use GPS, but I want to make my life a little bit harder. We know we got about 20 miles, so we got plenty of time to intercept the 344 outbound. We'll do another magic barrel ref check. 3019 is set. For a possible future PC12, you can arc into Daytona Beach. That's exactly what I want to do, is an arc. We'll get you back. 5,600. Here it comes. Here it comes. Come back to the right and nav it up. We might S-turn a little bit. That's just freight flying. All right, so we are tracking outbound 344. Now we are looking for nav 2. Let's pull up the bearing. So here's our bearing pointer for nav 2. And you can see it over here. I'm going to keep this on the inbound course, but I will twist my outbound course once we get a little bit closer. So speed is still good, 180 on the speed. Our torques and temps look good. Doesn't look like we're getting any icing. But I'm going to turn this down again. There we go. Makes it kind of hard to read that. We're getting bumped around though. We're 5,600. We're naving outbound. Things are looking good. Oh, you can see the prop vortices. Look at that. That is really cool. You guys see those lines? That's the prop vortices coming off the prop and the moisture. That is really cool. Really cool seeing that. Straight up juice. I probably should get a flight recorder up in case we want to see what the landing looks like. In an airplane like this, how do you descend? Vertical speed. Or IAS hold. Or you just turn everything off and trim it down.
Okay.
Kind of traffic, Flight 202. We're outbound off Mendocino, getting ready to join the Loc 15 back course for procedure turn for 15. Alright, recording is ready to go. Y'all, I'm working hard for this one. If you haven't already, please smash down that like button if you want to see more of this. When you drop it into St. Bart's? Not anytime soon. So, kind of since I have this bearing pointer up, I'll explain why. It's a situational awareness. I could look over at the FO side, or I could switch VOR2 and keep it in heading mode. But really, all I know is when the head of this arrow is at 151, I know I'm at the intersection. So once we're a little bit close to 151, I'm gonna hit autopilot heading mode. I'm gonna twist outbound for my my primary VOR1, and then I should be right on it. So we're gonna get ready. We're gonna swap over. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go heading mode, and I'm going to swap over Loc outbound, and the outbound 151 is 321 if I'm not mistaken, right? So
okay, I'm flight 561. We're about 8 miles.
331. 331 outbound, or actually on the chart it's 355. Inbound is 155. Oops. So it's 355. Wait a second. Hold on. Did we mess up something here? We were on the 344 outbound, and we're going to intercept 355 outbound course. So, yeah, I need to... There we go. That looks right. We're going to intercept the 355 outbound. Are we flying on fumes? That is interesting. Our fuel quantity says 0. Huh. Interesting. No, I don't think we're flying on fumes, but interesting that you point that out. Alright, so same thing here. I can see my... Once this gets to 155, we're going to nav outbound. You can see HSI over here. Things are looking good. 5,600. Press fuel reset. That's for fuel used. Oh, no, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. All right, here it comes, chat. Here comes our intercept. I'm going to be in heading mode. 180 knots. Things are looking good. Now we're going to go ahead and track this puppy outbound. Oh, wow. Why are we getting reverse sensing on that? Is it reverse sensing? No, it's not. Okay. Nav. Don't catch it. 21 knot crosswind's throwing me off. it's going to be aggressive enough. It didn't intercept it. Why didn't it intercept that? That's not good. Alright, well we're going to spin it all the way around. So we're going to be in heading mode. I'm going to flip this back around to 155 inbound. We shouldn't get reverse sensing on HSI. 155. We're in heading mode, so let's come back this way. We definitely, it never captured it. Now we're a little bit on the unprotected side. That's a little bit spicy. There's 20 miles. Let's go ahead and spin all the way around. Spin all the way around here. 155 inbound. Once we're within 16.5, we can descend to 4,200 feet. So we're still outbound. We're going to flip it all the way around. We're losing the antenna there in the turn. Oh, I wonder if it's a Microsoft won't let me track it this far out. Coming all the way back around for an intercept. Yeah, we're about to have a CFIT, Richland. So real life, you could still track this. I think Microsoft cut my DME off the OR2. Hey! There we are. Keep that turn coming. Keep that turn coming. All right, now we're back on it. We're inbound. We've got a little runway thingy there. That's pretty cool. All right, we're still 180 on the speed. Will you capture? Nav up for me? Will you nav it? I was looking for a loc, but I guess there's no loc button to press, so yeah, it should track that. It didn't even attempt to catch it when we were coming inbound on that feeder, but that's all right. Looks like it's tracking it now. All right, we're inbound now on the localizer. As we cross the DME of, what was it, what'd I say? 16.5, we can descend to 4,200. So I'm going to prime up 4,200. Arm U. Vertical speed, 1,000 is just primed up and ready. And we are looking good. Look at our cross track from the 21. Man, nothing like doing a localizer full procedure with a 25 knot direct crosswind. That is some spice. Or you can see here now, Chad, if I pull up Navigraph, I'll just show you where we are. We're inbound now. We're about to cross quick. There's quick. So we'll go ahead and engage vertical speed. We'll get rid of Navigraph. We're descending on down. Now we're going to really start monitoring. I'm going to start slowing up that speed here as well. We're going to come all the way back now. Really going to start slowing her down. All right, there's our altitude alert. Once we hit 11.7, we can go to
3861. We're 2 miles. 1.5. Okay.
We'll go ahead and start the recording.
Sync rate.
Okay, traffic and flight
Sync
202. We're 14 miles out for the local 15. Okay.
Sync rate. Sync rate.
Well, let's get
Sync
a
rate.
sync rate there.
Sync rate.
Did we not arm the altitude?
Sync rate.
No, 4,200.
Sync rate.
1,000 feet. 5,000 feet per minute?
Sync rate.
You don't like that?
Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate.
I'll do 700 feet a minute. We're inside of 12, so we can go ahead and keep coming down though. So let's go ahead and set 3,800. Once we hit 10 miles, we'll lower the gear. Still getting a little bit of fast. Bring that power out. It's a bumpy arrival, dang. 11.3 miles inbound. At 10.5, we can go all the way down to final approach fix altitude of 2,800. So that's close enough. Let's go ahead and scroll in. 2,800 is armed. There's 10 miles, gears coming down.
Okay, traffic cam flight 560 on. We're clear of all active taxi back to the ramp. Okay.
When did you break out?
About 200 feet. You can't see a thing.
Oh, good. So the minimums are 2,300. We probably won't see anything, so we might have to get a little bit. We might have to punch out and go to an alternate. What time is it? 1:41. We have time to do that. We'd have time. We'll go all the way down. Flaps 15. Increase the vertical speed 1,000. 8 miles now. Missed approach point is 0.8 at 2,300. So we got 8 miles. We're at a 3,200 feet.
Sink
Flaps
rate.
30.
Sink rate.
What's that?
Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate.
It doesn't like
Sink rate.
1,000 feet per minute? That's kind of odd. Okay. We won't do 1,000 feet per minute. $2,800. We're inside of that, so let's keep going all the way down to our minimum.
Like it either.
We'll arm you. Altitude alert is armed. This is a localizer approach, Kyle. 2,300 feet. Pull for vertical. Engage. Come on, baby. Keep on coming down. This is it. This is our last step down. 2,300 feet is our minimum. A little bit of power. We're getting a little bit slow. We can go all the way to 0.8. We might see something. Get any wipers in here? No. What is that? I guess those aren't wipers. I thought they were wipers. All right, we're approaching our minimum descent altitude, 2,300. There's our altitude alert. We're 5.6 miles. Nothing visually yet. We are. This is a little bit spicy, chat. 2,300 feet. We're in alt. Now, if we see approach lights, we can go ahead and drop down to 100 feet above touchdown, which will be 700 feet. Only if we see approach lights. I don't even think there's any approach lights with this. Prop is the wiper. You're right, Ryan. I guess there's no wipers. I guess I thought this was a wiper over here. I mean, this is I was not planning on doing a ILS to minimums today, but I guess we are. Oh, no, that looks cool, though. We're flaps 30. No need for 40 on this approach. With our gross weight, our stick pusher is going to be approximately, where's my stick pusher out to? We're flaps 30. Yeah, we're safe. About 63 knots be our pusher, so we're well above that. We're doing 110 on the approach. We're keeping her stable. Oh, I see lights. What? Is that a runway? I do. I see the runway, chat. Autopilot's coming off. Why is it not letting me disconnect it? Alright, it disconnected. I see the runway. Let's go ahead and get the flight director off. Yaw damper off. Let's go flaps 40. Let's make this approach. Runway's in sight. Should we slip it?
Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink
We're
rate.
slipping her down.
Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate.
Oh, I got you. I got you. We're going to slip it on down. Swiss Army knife. 25 knot crosswind's now gone. Pretty much just a 5 knot wind. Keep slipping it down. This is sketch. This is very sketch. All right, let's go ahead and work that power in here. Arrest that descent a little bit. We got plenty of runway. It is wet though, so let's keep that in mind. Power to idle.
Warning, prop pitch.
That was sus. That was sus. My chair started rolling there. I had a hard time keeping her straight on the center line, but that was definitely suspect. Let's go low idle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ukiah. Welcome to Kandahar. As crazy as that might have seemed, that was completely legal. We did everything right. We saw the airport, we saw a runway. Nothing says you can't slip it down. That was 100% legal. That's a freight dog approach right there. That is a freight dog. So I've circled at those minimums. That's even more sus. Wow, that's some interesting terrain features. I will go ahead and stop the recording. I want to see how that landing turned out. I want to see what it looked like when we were slipping it down. Get the flaps up. And wing lights on, taxi lights on. Let's get rolling here. Props off, inert set, probes on. That looks good. Let's taxi to the gate. He's justifying the legality of the FAA watching right now. I don't think the FAA would say anything about that approach. Or Part 91. Actually, this would be a Part 135 freight operator. We didn't go below minimums. We saw the airport environment. We did a forward slip. We used all the tools in the bag. Keeping it straight on the center line is that's just my chair. It's rolling around on me. I don't have my tactical flip-flops, so I have a hard, that's me just trying to keep straight because I can't. My chair keeps sliding back. All right, after lands, what's that? Stab trim. We need to get her all retrimmed here. Trim it back. It's almost 2. Yeah, probably won't have enough time to do another leg. I want to see what that replay looked like. All right, let's go freight dog mode. Let's go avionics.
Warning,
1 and 2
avionic
off.
bus.
Let's go recogs off. We'll prepare for our shutdown of Pia. I guess we're not walking to Ukiah Donut Shop. A little bit rainy today. We're just going to have to get some coffee at the FBO. We're not going to walk down. We'll park over here next to Team Vodka. What would be cool is if you had like wet effects on the ground like we had on the 7.4. Are my strobes still on? Yeah, they are. My strobes on. There we go. That's how it should be. Bit of the sounds here as we come around the park. And we'll do a freight dog shutdown. We'll go like this, get some power in there, and cut off. Burp. Brake set. That's how we do. Everything is set there. We'll leave the, oh, my camera's got all jacked up again. What's up with that? And we'd kill battery 1 and 2. And that's that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ukiah. Let's take a look at that landing. Replay mode's coming on. I want to see what happens. Let's put the condition lever in flight idle. Let's see what happens if we just load into the default replay system here. See, power's on. Looks like the gear's coming down. Oh, this looks pretty cool. Need to turn everything else back on. Let's get avionics back on. help it out. Where's our flaps? I didn't get the hiccups all of a sudden. Why can't I get my flaps? I guess we didn't have flaps out yet. No, we didn't. We had a little approach to go still. That's pretty cool. Continuous position to land? Yeah. Elias Tiger? Heck yeah, man. PC12, flaps 40. You can get, we got down plenty good. If I had my, like a proper chair, my rudder set up properly, we would have been even more stable. I just couldn't, just sliding all over. Denzel Washington taking notes. You can slip anything. It's not always recommended depending on the flight manual, but you can still do it. Fuel isn't gravity fed, and this no problem. I think I made it down. Yeah. Unless there's a no slip limitation in the manual. Outside GoPro view should be default. We're about to enter into the rain. Let's go ahead and move this forward here a little bit. We're doing our step downs, Here we go. We saw the runway. Here we go. Resume. All right, look at that. Here we go. We're slipping it. That's a normal position to land for a PC-12. Now, being in a citation or something, no, that would not be a normal position to land. But a PC-12, that's a normal position to land. With VFR, bringing her down. It slipped out really nicely, actually. Then you go work out that slip. The rest of that descent rate. Straighten her out. Now, it comes down, nose down normally. I bet you this landing's a little bit flat. So powered idles, a tad bit fast. Probably at a 3-pointer here. Just about. Just sliding. That's just my pedals. Buy some locking casters. I need to, Romulus. Alright, but I think that's, I'm pretty happy with that. We'll watch one more here from the window view, and we got to see you slip to 320. I think I have, actually. I think we've done a slip in the Fenix and then got uncontrollable and crashed. But, especially the 5-blade chopped the power, and she is seal. Oh, so yeah, that's another point. So this is the 4-blade. This one's a little bit more slippery than the 5-blade. The 5-blade has even better performance numbers. We will definitely come back in this airplane, do some more flights in it. I would like to do, while it's fresh, we might do like a turboprop, like a freight night. We'll do PC-12 and TBM, fly them both in the same night, see what kind of feeling we can get from them. But this one is definitely much easier to tame, very docile, very stable platform. 4-blade loves to float if you're fast. Yeah, it was definitely a little bit hot on this one. But what would it take you to switch from flying airplanes to the PC-12?
Warning, prop pitch.
Same pay, a full lav, not a freight one like this, a full lavatory, and same schedule. Nah, actually, I don't know. I would do it for a King Air 350. I don't know if I'd do it for a single engine PC-12. But that's going to wrap it up, y'all. I'm going to have to get out of here. I got to go meet flying guitarist Sam. We're doing a little lunch this afternoon. Overall thoughts on the PC-12 though from SimWorks Studios, I think they did a really, really nice job. Seeing the boot simulation, there's much, much more we can dig into here systems-wise, which we're going to have to get into maybe on some longer flights. We'll pull out the manual. We'll look a little bit deeper into the systems. I cannot wait until they get the failure update, which is a paid add-on, unfortunately, but I will definitely be picking that up. Give me some, make sure you're doing everything correctly. But this was pretty fun. I like seeing what they've done with this. The flight model, most unique flight model of any airplane I've flown on Microsoft, no doubt about it. Out of the gate. All right. If you haven't already, hit that like button if you want to see another prop video. If not, we'll probably be back in a jet, maybe in a heavy. Still got that heavy itch. The prop was fun today, but I still got that heavy itch. Until we get some IAEs, I still want to fly some heavy. Maybe some 7.8 actually coming up. I don't know. We shall see. Get those Cias in chat. Till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. I'm V1. See you!